Breaking news this hour, Puerto Rico's Governor Ricardo Rosselló announcing that he will not seek re-election in 2020. Rosselló made the announcement in Spanish live from his home and said that he will also step down as the head of Puerto Rico's new Progressive Party. The address comes after tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets for over a week calling for the governor's resignation. The controversy stems from group chats that were leaked in which the governor and his inner circle made sexist and homophobic comments, including joking about dead bodies accumulating after Hurricane Maria. Joining me now, multimedia producer for Vice News, Victoria Leandra, and NBC News Latinos, Nicole Acevedo. Thank you both for joining me. All right, the governor now says he's not resigning now. He's just going to not seek re-election. How do you think this is going to appease his critics? I'm going to start with you, Nicole.
I mean, he even went further in his announcement. He even said, I welcome the process that the Puerto Rican legislature already set out, looking into what's in those chats and see if there's possibility for an impeachment. So, I mean, I don't think this has any indication that it would necessarily appease the critics. We have tomorrow possibly the biggest march we've seen in the entire history of Puerto Rico. And that's even bigger than the one on Wednesday, where estimates say that hundreds of thousands of people showed up to Old San Juan to protest and demand Ricardo Rosselló to step down. Tomorrow, organizers and people that are trying to round people up to attend to this paro, which basically means we are stopping everything that's happening on this island until Ricardo Rosselló steps down. People are trying to get 1 million people there in the busiest highway of Puerto Rico. So we'll see what happens.
Maybe saw a video of cars being stopped because of all the traffic, all the protesters. Victoria, what was your initial reaction to the news here?
I was certainly surprised. The protesters have been very clear, and the message is, Ricky, resign. The message wasn't for him to step down of his party, or it wasn't for him to seek re-election. So I think tomorrow's march, protest, as Nicole said, it's going to be something that we want our eyes on, because the protest on past Wednesday, broke records. This one can certainly become historical.
You don't think that it will calm some of the protests because he said, look, I'm not going to try to do this again, just let me play this out. Do you think that'll help calm the protesters out? Or lessen the crowds?
Our reports say that the crowds have grown exponentially day by day. So tomorrow, the crowd is going to be biggest. I mean, we have seen how artists have convened people to the march. I mean, right now, Bad Bunny, one of the biggest Latin trap stars, he put a pause in his career to attend the protest.
Another artist too in the island that people love, like Cani Garcia, also said, I am halting my vacation and I'm returning to the island to be part of this. I mean, we had Ricky Martin. If you have to, wait for Ricky Martin to show up in the island, you know what I mean? That says exactly. It says something. So I mean, like Alejandra said, protesters have been very clear and they have been very consistent in their protests. They have been protesting for 8 days in a row. And sources in Puerto Rico are telling local reporters that in his head, he thinks that people are just going to get tired eventually, that school is going to start in August and people are just not going to organize or protest as much. So it's, in a way, we'll see what's going to happen now, how people react to Governor Rosselló saying, I listen to your demands, but I'm not thinking about following your demands.
How can he govern going forward? Nicole, how can he govern going forward if you have this many people showing up? What does he do? I
mean, that is a big question. And not only that, so many people from his administration have either resigned, been fired. So you have, for example, the Secretary of Education. Right now, she was arrested and she's going through an investigation process right now for alleged embezzling of more than $50 million. Same with the Angie Davila. She is in charge of the insurance agencies in Puerto Rico. She deals a lot with Medicaid and Medicare funds, stuff like that. That person is also in the same spot as Kelleher, the education secretary. So, I mean, that is the big question. The governor keeps insisting that he can govern. And even not too long ago in a statement, he says that he's committed to restoring the trust that the people put in him. But, I mean, nobody seems, or not a lot of people seem to like follow with that, you know? So that is a big question right now.
Yeah, the person even next in line, not there anymore.
Exactly.
Because of these scandals.
Yes.
What do you think it's going to look like going forward, Victoria?
When you look at the facts, this are it, right? Protesters don't want him in power. His own political party does not want him in power. He has lost the trust of Puerto Ricans, and he has lost the trust of the people in his cabinet, right? So can he govern this way? I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
We're going to find out. To be continued tomorrow, but breaking news today again, Governor Ricardo Rosselló will not seek re-election, still not resigning, holding steadfast there. Victoria, Leandra, thank you so much. Nicole Acevedo, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.